Hello everyone and welcome to our next video in our series. It's been a while. I'm sorry for the delay. A bitch has been working every day, so yeah, I apologize for that. We're continuing on with our ranking of every live action Disney remake. Coming in at number 13 is 101 Dalmatians. Now, the original animated version, I will admit, is actually low key one of my favorite Disney movies when I was younger. Hi. 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 I actually, I think I like the animal Disney movies with animals. Um, More higher up than most of them. Like, for example, this one. I actually had the original VHS. I got it for my birthday many years ago. And this live action remake, I probably seen once or twice when I was younger. It was like maybe early 95, 94 when this movie came out. So, with the exception of the 1990 four version of the Jungle Book, this was actually one of Disney's first actual live action remakes. And believe it or not, it's actually perhaps one of the most realistic, if you really think about it, one of the most, probably their most realistic live action remake out of all of them. I mean, it's not, if you know the story, you know it's not too much of a fantastical or fantasy driven story. It's pretty much grounded. Um, and they actually made this. It actually feels like a really realistic live action remake of the actual um, movie. They stick pretty close to the original animated version, with just one exception that I really think would have ranked this a lot higher if they went with this, but instead they did not. None of the animals in this movie actually speak. Thank you.
What's your ranking?
Live action Disney remakes.
I like the animated version's better.
Thank you. Even nerds can have girlfriends. So yeah,
What?
going as I was saying, I forgot what I was saying.
I forgot. I did not hear what you
I
said. What'd you say?
see even nerds can have girlfriends.
You're a nerd.
Uh-huh. I,
Mm. Let's, I'll cut your hair this weekend.
thank you. What was I saying? I honestly forgot. Anyway, um, so yes, as this is, oh yeah, I remember now. Excuse me. Woohoo. It's been a long day. I think the one thing that probably would have ranked us a little bit higher, what they went, what should have done, is actually have the animals speak. You know, like how they did with like the Lion King and with the Jungle Book and all the other live action remakes of Disney movies that featured animals. However, in this movie, they do not. None of the animals speak because obviously they wanted to go with as realistic as they can. I think they probably would have made this a lot better, especially for certain sequences that just have the animals just, barking and howling at each other. Like one scene in particular, if you recall, this I think it's called the Midnight Bark. I think it was called in the animated version. Obviously, the animals are speaking to each other and communicating. And this live action remake is really just, I want to say, about a good 5 minutes of dogs just barking at each other. And I think it probably would have been a lot better if they were actually speaking and talking with one another. Um, yeah, I personally think that. But then again, like I said, they try to make this as realistically as they could because it's technically their first live action remake. Um, One thing I do know, it's actually really good. It's not a bad movie. It's really not. It's probably more in the middle because, like I said, it's their most realistic ones. The first half of the movie is, as realistic as it can get. However, the second half basically becomes Home Alone featuring dogs. If you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. If you've seen Home Alone, you know exactly what I'm talking about because it's basically what happens here. The movie goes from like I said, was the most realistic movies it has until Home Alone with dogs. All the little puppies, they're pulling pranks and laying booby traps for the kidnappers. Yeah, so it's really goes from realistic to semi-realistic, if you want to call it that. But perhaps the true highlight of this film is obviously the legendary Glenn Close as Cruella de Vil. However, per me, just personally speaking, she's not my favorite version. We will get to that later on in this countdown. Um, but yeah, for the most part, like I said, this is not a bad movie. It's not the best movie. To me, it's one of those just in the middle kind of movies. And like I said, one of the things I think would have made this probably a lot better and probably a lot higher in this ranking is that they had the actual animals actually talk, like gave them voice actors or something. I think that probably would have helped it out a little better in the rankings. Um, Other than that, yeah, like I said, it's not a bad movie. It pretty much is what it is for the times, and I can see probably why they did not go with any voice actors or having these animals speak because this was, like I said, like what 95 or something. The CGI and all that wasn't as what it is now. But of course, there are movies that had CGI at that time, which are a lot better than how some of these movies nowadays look. But that's besides the case. I'm sure they probably did, wanted to, like I said, wanted to be as realistically as they could. So they probably just went with what they went with. But I really feel this movie would have been a lot better if they did have the animals actually talk and communicate with each other. But like I said, that's just me. I'm pretty sure everyone has their own, version of this. Um, like I said, I probably seen this movie once or twice when I was younger. Rewatching it for this binge was my first time watching it in a long, long time. And I didn't even not know that Horace and Jasper are played by Dr. House and Ron Weasley's father. If you know who they are, kudos to you. So yeah, that's basically that. Another short video. What I'm probably really considering doing for the rest of this countdown is probably going to condense the last maybe top 10 into one video so I don't keep throwing out these short videos after short videos. Like I said, I've been busy with work a lot, so this is why I haven't been really on here. I know it's probably been like a week since I did my last Disney ranking video. I usually save Sundays for my WrestleMania videos, but I think what I might do is probably do the next two videos as individuals, and then I'll do the top 10 as one condensed video so I can go ahead and get this over because, like I said, I do have other videos I do have planned out for this channel. I'm currently in the middle of a binge for Elizabeth Olsen's entire filmography. And as far as video games go, I'm in the middle of playing the entire Mega Man Classic franchise. I'm about halfway through with that. I do plan on doing a live version of ranking my favorite actress, Karen Gillan's filmography, but I want to get caught up with her movies and shows that have came out since I last did it. So once I do that, I will definitely put out a video version of that. As I have other binges and movie reviews and rankings that I plan on doing, but we will get to that when we get to that. So in the meantime, again, sorry for the delay. It's been a good busy week. Um, Again, thank you for watching. Thank you for liking. Thank you for subscribing. If you have, feel free to leave your comments in the comment section. Obviously, good, bad. I appreciate it. Think so far, I've gotten nothing but likes and positive comments. So thank you to that. I appreciate it all. Let's get this channel growing and going. So, with that being said, until next time, if you haven't asked me about it, chances are I'm going to talk about it anyway.